You're listening to the Intercoastal Podcast, part of the Destination Marketing Podcast Network. Welcome to the Intercoastal Podcast, where we explore all the stories, adventures, and culture that make the Lowcountry unforgettable. This is a place to find your Intercoastal. Today, we're heading to beautiful Cat Island with Tim Mervosh and Michayla Wolfe to talk about the lifestyle, amenities, and special experience waiting just across the bridge from downtown Beaufort. Let's dive in. Welcome to the episode, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daquan.
Yeah, so for someone who's never been to Cat Island, what's the first thing you notice when you get to Cat Island?
Well, I think when you arrive at Cat Island, you see the beauty of the low country. You see the old, beautiful live oak trees around the clubhouse. Mm-hmm. You see the Spanish moss. You see the golf course, some marshland as you're driving out there. It's a quintessential low country as you arrive at Cat Island.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say, Michayla? Like, it's one of the first things you notice?
Yeah, I doubling down on what Tim said. Definitely, nature is the first thing. You're more than likely going to see some deer. You're going to see some wildlife. You're going to find frogs and ferns and any plant you can find in the low country once you get out there, because you are definitely a world away from Beaufort, even though you're just 5 minutes off the inland. So,
and Cat Island is a little tucked away, but you're also super close to downtown. How does that change the vibe of like going from downtown to Cat Island?
I mean, it's so accessible, so it makes you have that world away feeling, but it's really just a toss across the bridge, and you're out there with us and embracing the beauty and the experience of Cat Island.
Yeah, and I talked with Tim a little bit before, the podcast kind of got rolling and recording, and he mentioned that he was from Pittsburgh, so we kind of like to ask people their Beaufort story. So how did you guys end up in Beaufort, or like, what's your story of how you got here?
I started my career as a golf professional, and I've been a PGA golf professional my entire career. And I worked all around the country since the early 80s. I was working at a club in the upstate of South Carolina, and when I left there to join a club down here in the low country in Okatee as a general manager, and I stayed there for a short time, and then retired for a very short time, and started to do some research about Cat Island, because Cat Island was a golf club that had closed. It had been closed for a couple of years, and I came to find out that there's a group from Virginia called Resort Development Partners who was in the process of buying Cat Island. So I made contact with that group and ended up joining Resort Development Partners. And in June 2nd, 2022, we purchased Cat Island Club, started the restoration of the golf course, and then the renovation of the clubhouse, and started selling memberships. So, my role as the general manager was to share the vision for the club in the future, and then execute off of that vision. So we bring in great staff members like Michayla and others, and we've been very, very fortunate with the number of members that we've sold and the things that we've built over this time.
And Michayla, how did you end up here in Beaufort?
Yeah, so my Beaufort story, I've been chasing the coast and the beach since as long as I can remember. I remember my first time coming to Beaufort was about 6 years ago. I was dating my now husband, and I drove into this Nicholas Sparks town and was smitten. And then I just came from the upstate actually 3 months ago. We were vacationing here for the last 6 years. And then the opportunity arose to come work with Tim at Cat Island Club through some in-laws, or my in-laws' parents more so, who are members at the beautiful Cat Island. And if you come to Beaufort once, it's hard not to be smitten and start plotting and planning how to get down here. And I thought it was a 5 to 10 year plan. And then Cat Island for me was my ticket to paradise. And I have just the honor of working in the most beautiful place every day. I get to drive out along the intercoastals, over the bridges, and just watch the egrets and the blue herons every day. I mean, it's magical, and Cat Island is basically just a step into that every day.
I agree. I'm kind of like you guys. I'm from the upstate, grew up in Spartanburg. So I'm familiar with the change of going from upstate South Carolina to the slow country of Beaufort and kind of that adjustment. So, and like you said, once you come to Beaufort, you kind of just fall in love with the area. You fall in love with the nature, and you almost feel like you can't go back to changing anything about Beaufort or leaving Beaufort. So,
I think living in Beaufort will add years to your life.
Oh, definitely will. It relaxes you. Like we were saying with the bridge, some people get frustrated with the bridge opening and you being stuck in traffic, but it's just a reminder to kind of calm down, relax, and take in some of the views here, the water, the air. So it's definitely like a adjustment in life.
Not a bad place to be stuck in traffic, that's for sure.
No, not at all. So back to Cat Island, could you tell us a little bit about the golf courses? What makes them different from anywhere else here in the Low Country?
Well, the golf course was originally designed by George Cobb, and back in the 80s, George Cobb was the Fazio of that era, very, very recognizable, very sought after. As he was building Cat Island, he had some health problems, and he brought in a young architect by the name of John LaFoy. And John was a fresh, right out of the Marine Corps golf course architect, learning from George Cobb. And as fate would have it, George passed away before the golf course opened, and John finished it. So, the history of the club has really two great architects. John went on to become a great architect in his own right, and it was really interesting when we started this project. John happens to be from the upstate and is a good friend of mine from up that area, and we contacted John, and he said, well, it was the first golf course I ever worked on with George Cobb, and it'll be the last golf course when he came back and redid the golf course, and as we did the restoration of the golf course. So it was really neat to have him see it. He brought the original plans back, and we restored the golf course back to the original specs, the greens, the bunkers, the fairway cuts and everything. So, it's a magnificent golf course where there's 3 of the par 3s are right on the water. The views on those holes are absolutely spectacular. And the golf course meanders through, live oaks and marshlands and just, it's like we talked about when you first arrive. It's, you see the nature, you see the live oaks, you see all the deer. You see the same things on the golf course. It's very, very peaceful out there.
And I know you guys recently hosted the U.S. Kids State Golf Championship out there. How was that?
We've done a lot with junior golf. One of the things that we started at Cat Island was to be very involved with junior golf. So we've done a lot with Beaufort County Junior Golf Association. We worked at the South Carolina Junior Golf Association, and this was our first run to do the U.S. Kids State Invitational. All of the junior events that we host give you such a warm feeling in your heart watching these young players develop. U.S. Kids was very well done. It was a great event. We saw kids from all over the country and kids from, I think, 12 different international countries competing. So, it's just a joy to, and as a golf professional, I watch young kids playing and competing and, grinding it out for championships and low scores. And it really does warm my heart because, we've all had that opportunity early on in life, and some people made it and into the, farther down the road in golf, and it's just a great game for a lifetime, and watching these young players play is so much fun.
Yeah, and you're watching someone find their passion, whether it continues, through high school, college, and on. For these kids, they're trying something for the very first time, and for them to discover that love here in Beaufort, and you give them that experience is something amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you get kids from China and Canada and South America, and they come to Beaufort, and they see things that they haven't really seen before. And the golf courses are golf courses. All the holes are the same size. The greens and bunkers and fairways are all similar. But it's when you're playing golf in different parts of the country and different regions of the world, it's always a little different. And even the humidity has a factor on really good players. So I enjoy watching those young players play.
Yeah. And outside of golf, what are some hidden gems at the club that the people might not expect to see?
Besides the gators, there are lots of those out there. I mean, there is a new wave of energy out at Cat Island, I would say, and we're investing in the clubhouse and the course, and there's a refresh kind of taking place, and I think people are starting to notice, and I say that as an outsider coming in that's heard that from people. So I think one of the most exciting places is our back porch right now. We're doing some really fun events, and it's a beautiful atmosphere. It's a space where people can have a laid-back, luxurious experience and just enjoy fellowship with the community, and kind of have that oasis feeling, safe haven, if you will, just right there in their backyard if they live on Cat Island, or just around the corner if you're here in Beaufort. But I think a big feature, that amenities that we have, is our cabana and our pool. It's beautiful. It's spacious. There's enough space there for everyone to kind of spread out and have their own area and enjoy all of the elements that Cat Island has. And then our back deck that overlooks a beautiful hole, and just you can see gators even from that back deck, and the beautiful oak trees. It's a vision. And right now, I think something that is kind of bringing that fresh wave of energy is, and a little shout out here to an infamous local artist, Melissa Lyons. She has been an amazing partner for us, and she's provided us with an exclusive set of artwork. So that's just something that's really unique to us right now, is bringing on a local artist to partner with and to provide kind of that fresh new
atmosphere, almost.
Atmosphere, but facelift. That's what I'm looking for. Just kind of a little bit of a facelift for the walls, and it really kind of marries what Cat Island is. Her artwork's laid back and luxurious, and that I think is the member experience. We have weekend warriors out there on the course. We have scratch players out on the course. There's really a spot for everyone to come and to feel safe and feel removed from the day-to-day, and just able to enjoy the game and each other.
And you guys, you host weddings out there, correct?
We do. We do host weddings out there. We host weddings, we host rehearsal dinners, we host some sip-in shops and some really neat local events. Again, we're spreading the word. People are starting to learn that while we are a private club, we are open to business for public events. So we're really excited about some of the upcoming events that we're hosting, and some local vendors that are coming on the property to share what they're procuring, and also just having a lot of members hosting their family gatherings with us. We have a beautiful banquet room that boasts space for about 150 people. We can hold upwards of 200 on our back deck. There's lots of good free-flowing spaces that really you can take as a blank canvas, with, of course, the Low Country being the only backdrop that I think you need, but you can take it from there and just paint really any event on that canvas that you like.
Yeah, I agree. You guys have one of the most unique locations here in Beaufort. So to be able to, host events and weddings and anything else like that, and like you said, keep it luxurious. But speaking of weddings, what are some of your favorite memories that really shows off what Cat Island is special at, like, a wedding?
Yeah, I mean, I think being able to get married under the oak trees while you're overlooking the course is just, it speaks for itself. You're able to kind of be in that atmosphere, but we have an opportunity to really provide a space that's unique in the sense that you get to gather on that back deck without having the impact of, can't think of these words right now.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
Well, the patio that we have out there is probably one of the most peaceful areas. Beaufort is a peaceful town to begin with, but that patio, is overshadowed by a 300-plus-year-old oak tree. Yeah. And, when you're sitting under that tree, just listening to nothing, the sounds of the golf course, which is, the occasional bird that flies by, and you're watching, you can see some golfers playing, but, we tell people all the time, when you're at Cat Island, we want you to enjoy that club the way you want to enjoy it. And some people want to enjoy it just for the peace and tranquility of sitting on that back patio under that 300-plus-year-old oak tree, which is pretty peaceful, and you just don't get that anywhere else.
Yeah, you don't. And like we've said in other episodes, and then our one of our latest episodes, Saying I Do in the Low Country, with Caroline Bowen, we talked about getting married here in Beaufort, and how Justin Bieber ended up he could have went anywhere in the world to get married, but got married in the Low Country. That says something. So for those people who are looking to come to the Low Country, you now have Cat Island that will host your event and have you out there and kind of experience that true Low Country wedding feel. Do you guys have any advice for someone who was looking to plan their event at Cat Island or plan their wedding?
Plan their wedding at Cat Island. Yeah, that's my advice.
My advice would be to get a hold of Michayla and let her help you through the whole process from start to finish. And don't fret, don't worry. It's all going to happen for you. And Michayla will take all the stress away.
Yes.
Do my best. We're in the business of turning moments into memories, and I think we have a pretty unique backdrop to do that. But I mean, like Tim was mentioning, that old oak tree, there's something to be said about getting married under something that's been around longer than probably any of us. And yeah, but I think honestly, I listened to your episode with Caroline, and I adore her. She's a wonderful, wonderful gal, and congrats to her. We're excited for her. But yes, I think planning a wedding can be, as Tim alluded to, a stressful time. So there's no better place to do it than in a place that we all talked about, where it takes your worries away. It's quieter, it's calmer. It kind of, when I've walked through the space with some brides, I mean, they feel that ambiance. They feel where it just kind of makes them exhale a little bit. And so I think that my advice would be not getting too lost in the chaos of planning a wedding, and to just really pause and enjoy, why you're planning a wedding to begin with, and trust that it's going to be perfect because you're going to have it at Cat Island. Yeah.
And for you guys, that, like you said, taking that weight off of the bride, because there's always so much to worry about, not as much for the groom, but for everything has to be perfect, and you guys are helping to do that as much as you can. And what better way is to have it in a peaceful location like Cat Island?
Yeah, truly.
So the Low Country is all about community. How would you describe the Cat Island community to someone who's never been to Cat Island?
Well, we've been engaged with a lot of the high schools and the various benefit groups throughout the Low Country. We do a lot with the military. We try to give back to those folks as much as we can. Like, for instance, over Memorial Day weekends over the last 2 years, we've promoted the fact that veterans and active duty military can come out to Cat Island, which is a private course, and they get access to play for cart fees. We do things for the Folds of Honor, which is a great charitable group. We raise a lot of money for that group, which again is for veterans, for servicemen and women. But just even like for the local high schools and the various boys and girls clubs and different community groups like that, we've hosted events. We promote those events, and we make them special just because I think if we make them a big deal, they become a big deal for others. And it's not just a number for us. It's something that we really work hard at doing, and we put a lot of effort into making these events really special.
Yeah, I agree. You guys definitely do a lot in the community, and we hear about almost anything here in Beaufort. Like, the people are always welcoming to those who are coming out to the island for the first time, and not only that, but then giving back, turning around and giving back to the community is always great. And that's what Beaufort is all about. And that's what we here on the Intercoastal Podcast love to say is Beaufort's all about community. Is there anything new or exciting happening at the club that people should know about?
Well, every day is a new day for us as we continue to rebuild the club. We have a lot of capital projects that will keep making the club better and better all the time. We're always working on things. You're never really finished when you're building a club like Cat Island.
Yeah.
You're always working on improving, as memberships continue to grow. But I think the new is we've got some new staff. Obviously, Michayla's just been a staff member here for just a few months, I'm sorry. And it feels like a few years sometimes. But she's been with us just a few months. We hired a new food and beverage director who was a sommelier who came to our club and onto our team. We're bringing in some more food and beverage people that have high levels of service. And, when you think about clubs in anywhere that happen to be in the Low Country or anywhere in the country, they all have golf, they all have restaurants, they all have pools, they all have different things, but the people is what makes our club different. And we've got some very, very dedicated, spectacular people who really understand the vision of making Cat Island a special place. And, we try to make every experience exceptional for our members. And the only way we can do that is with exceptional people.
I think, we've got that new art that I mentioned, which is exciting, and all of our members are so excited about it. But other than that, our new series that we launched for the summer is our porch series, and we've done a really neat master's porch party. We're really wanting public to come out, experience Cat Island, just step on the property and have kind of an evening to just take in all that Cat Island offers. And what we're doing this summer is our sip and shop. We had our first one 2 weeks ago now, and it was a really great evening. I mean, talking about community, the club felt alive, and the vendors were brilliant and wonderful, and thank you to all the vendors that came. And so we're doing that again after a lot of great reviews and excitement about it on June 27th. And so that's something new that's coming up that anyone in the community can take part in, to come step on property at Cat Island and enjoy the staff, enjoy the atmosphere, and then fall so in love that you want to enjoy it every day with us.
Yeah.
Daquan, one of the things that Michayla was mentioning about having guests come out to Cat Island, and, we are in the business of selling memberships. It's a private club, so we want guests to become members. But one of the things that we talk about a lot as a team is we treat our members like guests and our guests like members. So everybody's comfortable when they come to Cat Island. There's some clubs and around the country that can be a little stuffy at times, but at Cat Island we do like to treat our guests like members, and it is a very special place. When we have people come out for the sip and shops or the various benefit tournaments that we do or benefits that we do in the dining room, we want them to become members, and we want to make that very comfortable for them. We've got members from all walks of life, members who have done very, very well in their lives and financially are very, very secure, and we've got members who are retired, having the benefit of playing at a place like Cat Island. All those people get together. We can't tell one from the other. We don't treat them any different. That's what makes Cat Island so great, is the people, the members that are there. It's just a fun place to be, and we want it to be their favorite place to be.
And it's great that you're mentioning, opening up to local and community, and because that's what Beaufort's all about, is helping each other and getting, like you said, helping you get members and people who want to come back and constantly come to Cat Island. But before we wrap, if you could pick one thing you hope people remember after visiting Cat Island or after this episode, what would it be from each of you guys?
I think that people who visit Cat Island are going to, I want them to appreciate the beauty of the property, the unspoiled nature, the natural beauty of the golf course, the warmth, hospitality that they get from the staff and the members, and just a relaxing, stress-free life that you'll get at Cat Island, and to experience the way you want to experience it and enjoy it the way you want to enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me to pick just one, but Cat Island definitely is a very rare space where, for me, it's more than a club, it's a community, and joining the team has been a dream, and spending my days out at Cat Island is a dream for me, and I know the same for our members. They come out, and it's an infectious atmosphere. It's an atmosphere where you feel relaxed, and you are able to kind of let the day-to-day subside and just enjoy being out in the nature, being out at the club. And I think we've harped on nature a lot, but that's because it really is just a hub for all things low country, and it's the best of the low country.
Yeah, and I agree. That's kind of what it's about. It's about getting away from the typical normal life and experiencing what this area has to offer. This has been a great episode. For those listening, can you let them know where they can find more information about Cat Island?
Sure. Go to our webpage, catislandclub.com. There's information there for membership. There's videos of the golf course. There's beautiful photos of the clubhouse, and there's links there that would put you in touch with both myself and Michayla if you're looking for membership information or wedding information or what have you. But the webpage has all of that information for you, catislandclub.com.
You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook, and shameless plug, but if you are a local vendor, we would love to have you come out for our next sip and shop. And if you are local, we'd love to come out and have you as a member.
Yes, and that's great. Big thanks to Michayla Wolfe and Tim Mervosh for joining us on today's episode, giving us a glimpse into everything that makes Cat Island Club so special. Thank you for listening to the Intercoastal Podcast. We hope we've inspired you to find your Intercoastal wherever your journey takes you. You can follow us on social media at visit_BeaufortSC on Instagram or at BeaufortSC on Facebook. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review, and share our podcast with others who may love the Low Country. We'll talk to y'all next time. This has been another episode of the Intercoastal Podcast, hosted by Daquan Mickens and the team at Visit Beaufort, Port Royal, and the Sea Islands. Produced by Brand Revolt.